Two states just drew battle lines for every classroom in America. Oklahoma's leading the resistance, requiring blue state teachers to prove they understand American values before teaching kids. And that's what we need. If we're stuck with public education, at least make it America first. But Illinois just launched something that should terrify every parent nationwide. Mandatory mental health screenings for every kid, third grade through high school. Data mined by Merrick Garland's family business. Now, this isn't just Illinois' problem. This is their pilot program for your state next. Now, one state's building a firewall against woke indoctrination. The other's building psychological profiles on 8-year-olds. What starts in Illinois never stays in Illinois. So keep watching. Now, if you're getting close to retirement or just thinking ahead, you've probably done a solid job of saving. But here's something most people don't consider. How much of that money is sitting in cash? It might feel safe, but holding too much cash guarantees only one thing: you're losing purchasing power. Inflation eats away at it, and the dollar's value keeps slipping. But that's why more people are looking at real assets like physical gold and silver to protect their savings. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com. When you own real assets, you have real wealth. The number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Give him a call. Tell him Gary said hello, and just say, hi to Colin for me. Okay, so this is the local news, CBS local news. Just came out. Governor Pritzker, we got to screen the kids. This is mental health surveillance. Watch. Governor Pritzker proudly declare every child in grades 3 through 12 will be subject to annual mental health screening starting in 2027. He says we all need a little help.
8 is... Illinois public schools will soon be required to give students annual mental health screenings under a new law just signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker.
We all struggle at some time or another in our lives, maybe multiple times in our lives, and just need a little bit of help, and especially our children. So we've got to overcome the stigma. We've got to make sure that we're screening kids.
The bill requires all school districts to provide screening in grades 3 through 12, starting with the 2027 school year. The Illinois School Board must create guidelines for the screening, and the state is picking up the cost.
Oh, that means you're picking up the cost. Now, let's get into the details here. Yes, mental health screenings mandated. Yeah, this guy should not be talking about anybody's health. Now, let me give you the breakdown. Pritzker's new bill, his new law, just crossed the line. And here's what I need you to do. I need you to spread this far and wide, not just if you live in the state of Illinois, but also so this doesn't spread anywhere else. Okay, we got our work cut out for us here in Illinois to get this law repealed. That's the end game. But let me tell you what's at stake. Starting in 2027, Illinois public schools will be forced to conduct annual mental health screenings on your kids from 3rd through 12th grade, whether you like it or not. This is COVID tyranny 2.0, just repackaged in a clipboard and a psych eval. Remember how they masked your kids, shut down schools, tracked your movements, and silenced dissent in the name of public health? Well, now they want access to your kid's mind. They say it's to help. But what it really does is empower the state to medically profile your children every single year. This is medical tyranny in disguise. While they say there's an opt-out, no one is talking about what list your child gets placed on if you don't comply, or how refusing could lead to backdoor mandates, like needing to show private screenings just to stay off the state's radar. So ask yourself, what happens when a state-funded screener flags your child for treatment? Who decides what is normal? What happens when a parent disagrees with a diagnosis? Will CPS come knocking? This is not about reading or writing or arithmetic. It's about handing government agents a psychological file on your kid before they even hit puberty. Pritzker wants to turn public schools into surveillance hubs for mental health enforcement, linking kids to the Beacon portal and partnering with psychiatric hospitals. This is not support. It is state control under the mask of compassion. They're not just coming for your kids' bodies anymore. They want their minds. Parents must fight this, demand a full repeal of SB 1560, Leave Our Kids Alone. And here we have this. More. We've got to screen the kids. Pritzker's mental health surveillance begins. Watch. Governor Pritzker proudly... Oh, wait, did I just play this one? Yes, I just played that one. There's another clip here. Let me find that. We have... okay, yes. We see your kids as a whole people. We see your kids as a whole people. What the hell does that even mean? At the SB 1560 signing, Illinois Superintendent Dr. Tony Sanders celebrated state-run mental health screenings by saying this is just like vision and dental checks. But this time, it's your child's mind under the microscope. Remember when you had to go to the nurse and you had to do the hearing test and the vision test? Okay, that's one thing. But what kind of questions are these kids going to be asked? Do you feel safe at home? Does someone own a gun at home? Do your parents fight? You see, like, these things happen in every single household. But what's going to happen when a naive child feels that they're being intimidated or they have to answer every single question? Where are the parents? Where are the lawyers protecting these kids' rights when they're being interrogated? They don't even realize they're being interrogated. Standing there in a sanitized room, asking questions. What answers will they give? What notes will be taken? Who's there to protect that child? And then in that moment of intimidation and fear, when a person of authority comes and sits next to them and asks them personal questions. At the SB 1560 signing, Illinois Superintendent Dr. Tony Sanders celebrated state-run mental health screenings by saying this is just like vision and dental checks, but this time it's your child's mind under the microscope. He praised it as a best practice from national psych organizations, ignoring the glaring ethical red flags of mass behavioral profiling. He admitted that word, drugs and mental breakdowns are rising, but instead of fixing root causes, they want to label and track your kids early before they even ask for help. And then what medications are they going to be put on? Who's going to be the one to fill out the prescription? Now they have to have follow-up care. Blood tests. Who's going to profit from this? The most chilling part, he said the goal is to treat students not just as learners, but as a whole people. That states speak for full spectrum surveillance from grades to emotions, thoughts to trauma. Framed as help, it's really early state intervention into family life. Screening equals data collection equals permanent psychological record. Your child's mental history could follow them into college, employment, and beyond. Prevention sounds noble until it's weaponized for control. This is not support, it is conditioning. Watch him say it out loud.
Making Illinois. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank Principal Riemann Schneider. Is she here in the room? And can we stand up and have her be recognized? Principal? Oh, right over here. If you talk to any principal, they will tell you this is one of the top issues that their students come to school with every single day. If they have student advisors, they will know that students across the state and across this nation are making mental health their top priority. And I want to thank Governor Pritzker and our Illinois General Assembly for also making Illinois a national leader in prioritizing our students' mental health. Today we affirm.
I mean, the reason this is a problem is because they have made it like every single thing is a microaggression, triggering kids and pronouns and bathrooms, and they don't even know what to do. So yeah, they're walking into these indoctrination centers and they're totally confused and scared and terrified about what they can and cannot say. They got furries in the corner with litter boxes. They got kids with purple hair. Then they think they're up something else.
From what our students, families, and teachers have long known to be true, that mental health is an essential part of a student's academic readiness and lifelong success. Universal mental health screenings are the best practice recommended by the National Association of School Psychologists and the National Center for School Mental Health. With the signing of Senate Bill 1560, Illinois is now the state that follows these national recommendations. Is that amazing? Not only are we sharing a best practice, we're sending a clear message that we see our students not just as learners, but as whole people. I want to share some sobering data with you. Between 2018 and 2022, mental health and substance use disorders caused almost half of hospitalizations among youth ages 3 to 17. Hospitalization and emergency visit rates for such disorders were highest among students ages 15 to 17, and they especially hit girls.
Yeah, you know why they hit girls? Because Mark Zuckerberg is manipulating the algorithm on Instagram and making all these young girls who are just coming into womanhood feeling ashamed that they don't look the way that all these women are on Instagram. I mean, there was a whole freaking congressional committee and a hearing. Zuckerberg had to stand up and he had to turn around. He had to apologize to all these parents whose children did horrible things and were completely victimized by the algorithm that Zuckerberg was controlling just to increase engagement on the platform. So, yeah, it's not just what's happening in the schools. It's also what's happening on social media.
Black youth and youth residing in rural counties. Suicide remains the third leading cause of death among Illinois youth ages 10 to 19. Too often, we recognize a student's distress when it becomes a crisis, when they begin failing classes, when they begin withdrawing from peers or experiencing harm. Too often, we only recognize a student's distress when it's too late. With universal screening, we shift from reaction to prevention. As the governor said, like vision screening, hearing screening, and dental screening, mental health screenings will help us provide timely and appropriate interventions.
Okay, I'm done with this guy. I am done. Okay, I want to jump to, before we get to what's going on in Oklahoma, I want to bring in Awake Illinois. This is one of the premier groups in Illinois fighting these things. Now, Shannon Adcock, who I've worked with in the past in some local Illinois issues when the woke mobs came for businesses in Illinois that were run by conservatives, tried to run them out of business. Shannon worked tirelessly to help those businesses along with us. That's another story. You can go back into our archives. You can review that. But here she is giving a brief overview of the topic and how intentional parents can stand in the gap of government overreach. Okay, this is in Carpentersville, Illinois. But I do want to point out, before I play that, they have created this mental health screening opt-out form. Schools are already doing these screenings. However, in 2027, schools will be offering them for free. Parents have the right to opt out. Most schools don't do opt-in. Okay, so it's not like, oh, I want to be a part of it. No, you're already in it until you say you're not. Oh, by the way, this is the Representative LaPointe. This is the Leading the Way. This is Illinois Leading the Way in student mental health. State Representative Lindsay LaPointe, State Senator Sarah Feinholtz have championed SB 1560, mandating annual mental health screenings. So here's no child should have to struggle in silence. Oh, it sounds so nice, and it's for the children. It's for the children.
You said people gonna die?
That's what they said. I mean, more or less, Jar Jar, you know. But okay, there's JB. They just cleared his buffet plate there so that he could make way for this bill signing. But I want to get to, okay, we played that, Tony Sanders, okay, but I want to, I know I had the opt-out form somewhere here. Oh, here it is, yes. This is the opt-out form. Okay. You can find it if you're in Illinois at awakeil.com/forms. Okay? Very comprehensive to assist you in opting out of this medical tyranny. Hats off to Awake Illinois. Okay, let's go back to, I want to see Shannon give her presentation here. It's about 7 minutes, or actually 12 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We'll just give you a taste of it, and I'll repost it so you can go to the RX account and you can watch it.
Internet. Oh my, I am short. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for creating this awesome event for all of us, Networking the Networks, Illinois Family Institute. All of you guys are awesome. So Shannon Adcock, founder of Awake Illinois. My husband, John, and I have been married for 22 years this month. And thank you. And we have 3 children ranging in age from 10 to 17. So I'm a big fan of Deborah in the Bible. She was an unorthodox leader in her time, a female warrior. And she is called or known as being a bee at peace, a buzzing bee, and a wasp at war. And that resonates with me because in 2020, I ran to the barricade to defend children, and I went from being a bee at peace to a wasp at war. And I've been wasping ever since, right, David? So 4 years ago, I went to the internet machine and said how to start a nonprofit. It was 2 days after I lost my school board race because I'm a racist and a bigot and all the things, right? And I was like, ooh, it's getting real. They're trying to cancel voices like mine. So I started Awake Illinois to give people a platform to defend parental rights and to protect their liberties and their families. And my business card says, I'm a mom, not a domestic terrorist. The last administration would have said this is a congregation of domestic terrorists. So it's good to so normally I get 3 minutes to speak at school board meetings, and I'm surrounded by trans cultists and very energy. There was woke holy water. It would boil when I walk into the school board meeting. But today I have 10 minutes or 9 minutes, 8 minutes to speak with warriors of faith on a Saturday morning in this beautiful tiny church. And so this is a treat. It's good to be with all of you. All right. So it's important to be the barrier between anything that's going to indoctrinate your children, attack your liberty, and assault your parental rights. So I'm just going to go through what I think is a hopeful outlook, maybe a little scary at times, but a hopeful outlook of how we are winning, how we have truth on our side, and how we have friends. So unfortunately, apathy is the enemy. Awake, Illinois, awake, not woke. We are awake to the issues. We are paying attention. We are not apathetic. A bee at peace is still active. It's still buzzing. They don't say that Deborah was a snail or a sloth at peace. She was still buzzing around. And so apathy is the enemy. So it's important to pay attention. And 1.9 million children are in public schools in Illinois. That is a lot of souls, you guys. And they deserve warriors. Unfortunately, most parents still do not know their parental rights. They don't know how to act on parental rights. So many of us here have in our own platforms and in our own ways empowered people to harness and protect their parental rights. Be the barrier between your child and anyone with an agenda outside your family's beliefs or worldview. All of you have talked about this. We know this, but we have to keep evangelizing it. Amen. So I often ask parents this question: what comes to mind when a teacher or a pastor or a camp counselor, anyone entrusted with your child, sees your child's name on a roster? Do they know you, the mom and the dad? Do they know that that child has advocates looking out for them? This is critical. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter who's in the governor's office. It doesn't matter who's in any political office. Your children deserve defenders. Does the world know that your child has defenders? They better. So some good wins. Mahmoud versus Taylor in June. This was a big win for parental rights. Parents have the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. Education, medical care, all of it. And so this was a big monumental push forward to protect parental rights, to opt out of radical curricula, books, etc. Illinois House Bill 4876. I don't know, how many of you are familiar with the trans trafficking bill that we stopped here? Anybody familiar with this? Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to repost this for you guys so you guys can watch it in full, because I want to get to the good news that's happening in the state of Oklahoma. And just make sure you follow Awake Illinois on X. Moving into what's happening in Oklahoma. Okay. The first state requiring an America First certification test for teachers moving from blue states like California and New York. They must pass exams on U.S. history, civics, the Constitution, and basic biology to align with the values of truth and responsibility.
Things like American. Did you guys hear what Oklahoma just did? They're now the first state in the country to roll out an America First certification test, and it's specifically for teachers coming from states like California and New York. Yes, if you're a teacher moving to Oklahoma from a blue state, you're going to need to pass this test before you can teach. It covers a lot of things like American history, civics, the Constitution, and yes, basic biology. The idea is simple. If you're going to teach kids in Oklahoma, you need to understand and support the values that built this country. And no, it's not about party politics. It's about truth, responsibility, and respect for this nation's foundations. Oklahoma Education Chief Ryan Walters said they're not going to let radical agendas sneak into the classroom. They're partnering with groups like PragerU to make sure teachers are well versed in what they call common sense civics. And honestly, they're saying a lot of people are applauding this, and I can see why, because it's common sense. Because if you're leaving a state where the educational system is crumbling, maybe it makes sense to check if your teaching lines up with the values of a new place you're moving to. This isn't about banning people. This is about raising the bar. But let's be real quick. Would you want your kids learning from someone who doesn't believe in the basics? Oklahoma just drew a line in the sand, and I'm so hoping that all the other states will follow. So here's the real question. Do you think this will start a trend? I sure hope so.
I hope so too. And I also hope that the trend that's starting in Illinois doesn't spread any further. Oklahoma, the first state to require teachers from liberal-leaning states to take a test to show they align with its curriculum. The state superintendent, Ryan Walters, told Fox News Digital next week he plans to release a new certification test for teachers moving into the state from blue states. Yeah. Don't California my Texas, right? Don't Illinois my Florida. That's the rallying cry. Okay, we have this. Here's one more update. This is another local news hit from Illinois.
Now, Illinois students will soon be taking another type of test, but this one has nothing to do with their report cards or their fitness. The state of Illinois will now start screening for mental health issues. What's included and what's not. Charlie Wojciechowski on the story for us tonight, and he's here to explain. Charlie?
Well, Allison, just like physicals and vision screenings, these new mental health screenings are designed to identify problems and get students help.
Okay, so listen, this is the local news. Just like vision and dental screenings, right? You see how they just downplay it? Okay, it's not like vision and dental. All right, those you can fix with glasses, or you go to the dentist, get a filling. Okay, when you have a medical diagnosis for a mental health issue from the DSM-4, what happens? That is a label that is applied to a child. And it's not as simple as just filling a tooth or putting on a pair of glasses. In many of these cases, it's going to require psychological medications that alter the brain map of a child that is at a developing age. And once that brain has been altered by these psychotropic drugs based on a state psychiatric exam in a school, that brain is never going to be the same. So while the local news is going to sit here and tell you it's just like a dental exam, it's just like putting on a pair of glasses so little Bobby can read. No. Nah. No. This is freaking propaganda from NBC Chicago being pumped into the homes of millions of people across the state. And I'm here to set the record straight.
Well, it may seem like a simple idea. Not everyone's on board.
Yeah, that's right, buddy.
The governor's signature today at the Chute School in Evanston makes Illinois the first school in the nation to roll out universal mental health screenings to its schools.
At a time when our kids are struggling with anxiety and depression more than ever before, it's our responsibility to ensure that young people have all the support that they need to get the help that they deserve.
The new law will require public schools to offer age-appropriate screenings to identify mental health concerns in students in the 3rd through 12th grades. The process will be overseen by the Illinois State Board of Education, who will develop model procedures for districts. The screenings are designed to be confidential, and parents who don't want their kids to participate must opt out. The screenings will also connect...
Oh, and what happens to those parents that just didn't get the memo? Right? You got that busy parent. They're not paying attention to the news because they've checked out of the political environment that's so toxic in the state of Illinois. They're not paying attention to new laws that Pritzker's passing because they're inundated by the tyranny that keeps coming from Springfield. What happens to those parents? What happens to those children? They slip through the cracks. They get a diagnosis, and they have to wear this diagnosis on their head for the rest of their lives. What happens to them?
Families with the Beacon portal that helps them find psychiatric care in their communities.
What we have heard from families and from young people is that an annual check on sadness, worry, fear, and other problems would help to identify young people who need to talk.
The measure was approved earlier this year in Springfield by many Republicans, questioned whether the screenings were just another example of government overreach.
Universal mental health screenings are going to get us nothing except possibly finding reasons for denial of coverage of insurance, or running afoul of all sorts of requirements for confidentiality.
Oh, come on. Who was that? Steve Reich, Republican of McHenry? Come on, you could be a little harder, buddy. You could go a little harder. Denial of insurance? Really? Is that the scariest thing here? Please. That's the problem with the Illinois GOP.
For denial of coverage of insurance, or running afoul of all sorts of requirements for confidentiality.
I probably was at the same party with him, with Governor Huckabee Sanders. Oh man. Anyway, you could tell I'm not too pleased with this whole thing. Okay, so here's one more point. One of the top tools used for mental health screening is Panorama Surveys, a data mining for-profit company owned by son-in-law of Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, if you recall, called parents domestic terrorists for speaking up at school board meetings. Yeah. So he is directly involved with this. The fight is not over. It is only just beginning. So make sure you are following the Next News Network. You are following Awake Illinois on X so that we can continue this fight. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is right now. So this is the front line of America's culture war. And your kids are the battlefield. Oklahoma gets it. They're not letting California's failed ideology poison another generation. Basic requirements: know the Constitution, understand civics, accept biological reality. That's not extreme, that's American. But Illinois is implementing the largest child surveillance program in history. Annual mental health screenings run by a company connected to the Attorney General who's targeted parents at school boards. They call it healthcare. But it's data harvesting on children's minds. The scariest part, it's opt out, not opt in. They're counting on parents being too busy or confused to protect their own kids. One state is defending truth, the other is mining your thoughts of your children. So here's the question: should mental health screenings in schools require written parental consent? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. And you can support the fight. You can check out our merch shop. Link in the description where you can trigger a liberal today.